I'm also buffing Pump Up. You know, all buffs are getting buffed. Okay. Now let's get into DP battle changes. Okay, so DP battle changes. All right, so the two DPs, right? So the problems with the two DPs are these characters right here, Master Roshi and Spopovich. Okay, so the first thing I'm gonna do is that all two DPs have the same health. Okay, so 3 bars of health. Okay, that's the same as that's less than Roshi and Spopovich have now. Okay, the same as a Cyberman. Okay, Roshi can access more health through the transformation. So you have to start a skinny Roshi if you want the extra health. And that kind of fixes the problem, because the problem with Roshi is that no one picks skinny Roshi because the buff version is just too strong. Okay, so what we do is that we lower the health on everything. And if you want the buff Roshi with the extra health, you have to start the skinny version. The skinny version, it costs 2 skill points to go buff. That's a lot. And it locks you into the fight. So it's more likely that buff Roshi goes down. This is a Roshi nerf essentially without changing his kit too much. Okay, so I'm equalizing health across the 2 DPs. That also makes all of these other characters more viable, you know, more likely to be picked. So I want that for the 2 DPs. And remember, we buffed the telekinesis already. You know, we buffed acid too because it's a paralysis move. They all debuff defense. This Wasabi Bomb debuffs defense as well. Okay, so these characters have that utility going for them, whereas Roshi does not. Okay, but we also buffed Pump Up, so he gets a buff to Pump Up, you know, that sort of thing. Okay, so Videl, I would like a costume for Videl, the Fusion Reborn costume, and give her the ability to vanish. Okay, so the version of Videl with the Future Reborn costume can vanish now. Okay, so that's a buff to Videl. I would like that for her as well. And that way we can kind of mix up these 2 DP metas, right? So you might opt for these characters now that they have more utility. Another change that I want to implement is that non-transforming characters would start with 4 key bars. Okay, so a lot of these characters, they randomly start with different key levels, and there's no real reason why. You know, it doesn't really quite make sense. So I would like non-transforming characters to start with 4 key bars. I would like androids to start with 2, and then everybody in between to start with 3. Okay, minus the 10 DPs. The 10 DPs all should start with like less key, right? Because they're basically broken. So the 3 DPs, how do we change the 3 DPs? All 3 DPs, basically same as the 2 DPs. I want them to have equal health with each other, right? Because just having more health is just too strong. It makes characters in the meta way too prevalent, right? Like Raccoon, when he had a bunch of health, he just had too much health. Not all DP levels, but at least the lower ones should have the same health. So I think everybody should start with 3.5 health bars, including Kid Gohan, Krillin, Nappa, and Raccoon. Like, these characters already have more defense. They don't need more health. You know what I mean? It just makes them too tanky compared to the rest of the cast. So I want to fix that. All 3 Ps start at 3.5 health bars, like Cell Jr., for example. Okay? Gohan, I want to boost his Rage Boost. Okay, so his Rage Boost should boost him a lot more. Should boost him, you know, right now I think it boosts 444. Go ahead and make it 666. You know, he has less defense. His combos suck. He's not very good. So you give him a 666 Rage Boost, and then you buff his Masenko, for example. Make it come out faster. Buff his Energy Blast Barrage so they can't banish it after like the 3rd hit. And I think this character could be very good. Special Beam Cannon, I'm buffing that as well. I think if you fully charge it, it should be unblockable. It's a Special Beam Cannon. You know, in the show, it's not like you can just freaking block a Special Beam Cannon. It doesn't quite work that way. Next is Krillin. So Krillin, Standing Ki Blast is changed now to Destructo Disc. Okay, so I gave him an unblockable. I buffed his Solar Flare. It debuffs attack now. Makes Krillin a lot more, you know, dangerous offensively. And his HP now matches Nappa and Raccoon. So now you have an offensive alternative at 3DP. You don't have to go with the tanks. Okay. Zarbon, I'm buffing his transformation. So now you get half a health bar when you transform to Zarbon. Okay. It costs 1 skill point. You go from 3 to 3. So you're not really jumping DPs. Your stats don't go up that much. So, but at least you get a little bit of health back. Okay. So I'm buffing that. And then High Tension also gives ki back. So you can mix that up. You can transform and go High Tension to get your ki back. Not the standing one. The moving one should be destructo disc. Okay. Either or, bro. This is all speculation. I'm not on the dev team. This is not a real patch notes thing. These are just things that I would like for the game. Okay. So we can make it the moving one or the standing one. Just give Krillin a usable destructo disc, unblockable, so that he could be stronger. Okay. Yamcha, he has slow moving ki blast. Let's give him a multi-ball ki blast. Okay. Maybe a standing multi-ball ki blast. And Wolfang Fist, maybe, I don't know if we make that too. That might get annoying, but who knows? We just need to buff these characters, okay? So whatever you could do to Yamcha to make him better, do it, okay? Now we get into this interesting meta, which is the 4 DPs. Okay, the 4 DPs are very interesting. So androids, like I said, androids are going to be starting with 2 key bars, okay? A lot of them start with 3 and even like extra skill points. In my opinion, they should start with minimal resources, because that key chart is so broken that they need some changes. Okay, so basically start them at 2 skill key bars and maybe no skill points, and we should be good with the androids. You know what I mean? This character is perfect in my opinion. We don't need to change anything. The Saiyan Spirit got buffed in my previous conversation. We're making it proportional to health remaining, so if you have less health, you get buffed more. So Saiyan Spirit saw a buff, that's good. Ginyu's fine in my opinion, doesn't need much changes. Maybe Dangerous Shock could give like a false courage effect so that you can land the ult a little bit easier. That would be cool. Sparking Explosive Wave should be 4. Like less? You want it to be cheaper? Shit, I'm down with that, bro. I'm down with that. So let's buff Bardock. Shockwave or Rebellion now costs 4 skill points, bro. Why not? Like, he's not really meta right now. He's kind of weak right now. He used to be the king of 4DP. Now he's like a shell of his former self. Let's make it 4. Why not? Thunder Charge, I'm buffing massively. Thunder Charge now restores full key, okay, and gives buffs. I'm doubling the buffs, but I'm making it cost 3 skill points. Kaiza, okay. Kaiza says for Giants, we need to speed up their punching speed. Okay, I agree with that. We could start by no pushback with Rush Supers on Giants. That was BS. Okay, so that's good. It's good that you mentioned that, because I forgot about that. So now Giants get affected by Rush Supers. I think that's stupid. That's really stupid. One of their best qualities was that they were immune to Rush Supers. It should go back to how it was, bro. Like, there was no reason to keep nerfing Giants into the ground like that. We need to restore that, okay? I agree with that 100%. This character right here, we changed full power charge to 3 in the previous conversation. That's a slight nerf, but this character is already very strong, and really people just use him for transforming anyway, so it's not really like that much of a nerf, honestly. I feel like the nerfs for this character were really good. I'm gonna leave him alone. Not gonna change much about him. Add this. In the original video, in the live, I said that I didn't want to change transformation characters, but I do want to do something about superhero Gohan, okay? So going from 4 to 8 for 3 skill points is a little too powerful. So similar to fusions, I want to increase the cost to go to Ultimate Gohan to 4. And then for Super Saiyan, I kind of want to boost people going to Super Saiyan. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to increase the HP you get going from base to Super Saiyan, decrease the HP you get going to Ultimate Gohan, okay? So that way it'll incentivize people to use the Super Saiyan form, and then the HP gain you get to go to Ultimate is less. So that's one change I want to make, so that these other transformation characters can become more viable again, okay? So you could go to SS2 for only 2 skill points. So now with the change to Superhero Gohan, that would balance him well against this character right here. So now they would be more on par, right? Same with Teen Gohan. Another change to transformation characters I want to make Oob's transformation to 6 DP 1 skill point, and I want him to regain his ki. So I'm buffing this transformation massively so that he can become another viable choice at 4 DP. Stackable Kaioken and buff the Solar Flare. That's good. King Cold, King's Dignity. I feel like King's Dignity, I said, should give 3 ticks of buffs and 2 to defense and false courage effect. So a very strong buff. Give him a false courage with buffs and make it cost 3 skill points. So increase the cost, increase the buff, and we should be good with King Cold. You can use him as a tank. You could use him to soak up damage, and I think he'd be good in that role. Okay. Turles, Tree of Might should get buffed again. Okay. It should buff 5. Defense stays at 3 and grant full key. So right now it basically just grants, I think, 3 key bars. So let's just up that. Just make it a full power charge and buff him 5. He needs a broken ability if he's gonna compete with all the other characters that can transform. Okay, so major buffs, defense buff to 3 and grants full key on activation. Okay. TN Neo Tribeam, the ultimate. The first hit causes a hard knockdown so that you can link the rest of them. Okay, and it's not vanishable. So if you land the first, you could keep landing the other ones. Garlic Jr. I saw somebody in the audience talking about Garlic Jr. I'm buffing Makio Star. Okay, so Makio Star, I'm gonna heal a full bar of HP. Okay, and boost the buffs to 4. I'm leaving the defense at 2. I'm upping the cost to 4 skill points. So now it costs 1 more skill point, 4 skill points. But you get a full bar of HP and a bunch of buffs. Okay, so that's for Garlic Jr. And his Ceiling Paralyzed Beam debuffs defense. So okay,
at this point, you're probably thinking, okay, so what's the point of making these characters so good? Well, I'm just trying to create another archetype of character at 4DP, right? Because right now people either pick androids or they pick transformations, right? But we have all these other characters here that have unique names for moves like King's Dignity, Makio Star, stuff like that. They're movie characters, or they have special stuff about them like Tapion. Hero's Flute is not a regular explosive wave, right? So I just want to make those unique moves better so that we could create a third pick at 4DP. So you don't go with transformation characters, you go with non-transformation characters that have really good stock moves, because characters that don't transform don't spend skill points on transformations, so you can spend them on really good stock moves if you just buff those stock moves. That's where I'm going with this. I just wanted to add this so that I could explain myself a little bit better in the video. Okay, guys? At the 5DP, the most important thing is that we address Android 13. So what I'm going to do with Android 13 is that he starts with 2 key bars, no skill points, and I'm upping his transformation to 3, okay? So I'm nerfing Android 13's resources. His kit stays the same, and he gets the benefit of the buff to high tension. I made every high tension the same as Gotenks, so that he could refill key with 2 skill points. The other androids benefit from the changes to buffs. I buffed buffs in the last conversation, so they get the benefit of that. And I forgot to address these characters right here. So Frieza and Cell right now are very bad because they're forced to transform multiple times. So I want to kind of buff their transformations a little bit. So Cell transforming to second form will now only cost 1 skill point and you get your key back, and I think you get health back as well. And I'm making the transformation to Perfect Cell 1 skill point as well, because he's only jumping 1 DP level to 6, which is not great. 2 skill points for that value, I think it's too much. And he does get health and key back. So for 1 skill point, you get health and key back. That's really strong. Now, Frieza has the same problem as Cell. Okay, so it takes him forever to get to final from base. And being stuck at 5 DP is just a death sentence for this character. So what I want to do is that I want to grant him key on each transformation. So each transformation gets the key bar back. And that sounds busted. That would put him on kind of like an android type level category. And I think it's heavily needed because the 5 DP tier is just stacked right now. It's the best tier in the game, in my opinion, in DP battles. So this character needs a lot of buffs. And I think just grant him key back on each transformation would do a lot to help with this character.
Okay, I'm doubling the buffs on Majin Power and Snack Time. I feel like Snack Time needs a rework. So just give a smaller heal than Regen and Sleep, but just give key back, okay? Because it's fast. It's very fast. Just give like 3 bars of key back with HP and then just buff his Majin Power. The Bura, I buffed Mystic Breath. Evil Breath functions the same, so you can use it offensively and defensively. So Bergamo has this buff called Come At Me, right? So I want to double the buffs on that and give a False Courage effect. Leave the defense the same. All defense buffs basically stay the same because it's stronger than buffing offense. Bergamo needs super armor and come at me. Facts, bro. That's what I'm doing. So I'm giving him super armor. I'm buffing everything double except defense. So defense stays the same, but it gives a false courage effect. Okay. All right. Changes to Broly. So Broly's pretty broken at the 5 DP. So similar to fusions, I want to make his transformations a little bit more expensive. So I'm thinking transforming to Super Saiyan should cost 2. Transforming to full power from base should cost 4. Okay, similar to the fusions going 10 DP. Going from 5 to 9 is insane. So I say we change that. Okay. All right, so that's the Broly change. So his transformation cost will go up now. Frieza from Super. Okay, so he's at the 6 DP. He's close to being like really good at 6 DP, but his transformation is just too expensive. Okay. I'm doubling his buffs. I'm granting 3 key bars on Power of Revenge. And golden form now costs 2 skill points. Okay. So I'm lowering the transformation cost to 2. 3 is way too expensive considering like fusions get to 10 for cheaper value than him. That's yeah, that's not good, bro. We need to change that. So Super Frieza transformation cost goes down to 2. Okay. Dispo, they just buffed Dispo, but not enough. So Super Maximum Light Speed mode now gives 4 ticks to attack buffs, melee attack buffs. So you get melee attack buffs and extra speed so that you could use the speed and actually do some damage. Okay. Now this is an interesting change. We have Frost. Okay, so Frost Secret Poison now debuffs defense for 15 seconds. Okay, so when you land the super Secret Poison and you hit the opponent with a poison, now you debuff their defense for 15 seconds for 2 ticks. Okay, that's interesting. I would like that. Goku Z End. Okay, now can transform to Super Saiyan 4 with a costume from Daima. Okay, that's huge. Vegeta Z End, same thing. Now can transform to Super Saiyan 4 with a costume. Okay, so you get to 3 first though. You get to 3 and then you go to 4. And then Vegeta, you go to 2 and then you go to 3. Okay, so that's how that's gonna work. Fat Boo, I'm buffing Fat Boo. Health increase to match Kefla. Okay, so he's gonna have extra health similar to Kefla. So fusion tier HP. Angry Explosion requires no step back. So his ultimate is getting buffed. It's going to match Kefla's Super Explosive Wave ult. And also Sleep got buffed and Paralyzed Beam got buffed. So I'm buffing his entire kit. Okay. This the buff they have, the Gamma Superhero Pose. There are times during the match when the Gammas don't have any key and they can't move. And it just stalls the match down. You have to kind of wait for your key to restore. So I want to change that. So Gamma Superhero Pose 1 now restores 2 key bars, and I'm doubling the buffs. Okay, so basically you could use your supers, you could fight really aggressively, and then if you run out of key and you have to wait, you just use the pose, and you get the 2 key bars back, and you can get right back into the fight. Okay, the other Goma, the small Goma, his barrier and lag needs to be fixed. It needs to be reduced, and his magic bind startup time needs to be reduced so that you can hit people with it. And his magic stream, so the buffs, I mean the supers that suck, the ones that go in a line and have like an AoE effect, I'm buffing those. Okay, I'm making those unblockable. They hard knock down the opponent, so you have to dodge it or you have to vanish it. But if you don't, you get hard knockdown. But they don't do a lot of damage. They just have an AoE effect. So let's buff them, give them some utility. If they're not gonna do a lot of damage, just give them a utility, make them hard knock down the opponent at least. Something similar. Omega Shenron. Omega Shenron is a popular character, but his super suck. I want to kind of buff Gigantic Blaze. I want that to be unblockable. That move is very slow. It should be unblockable in my opinion. So I want that for Omega Shenron. Also, I want to add this to Gotenks. You know he does those little poses after everything he does. I would like for him not to pose after a regular rush string after 4 hits. Because that just, it doesn't allow you to stutter step and kind of, you know, read the opponent. So it really kind of ruins this character a little bit. So I want to remove the poses after regular rush strings. You could leave them after heavy charge smashes and stuff like that. So I want that change for Gotenks as well. So he could be a little bit more enjoyable to use and put him more on par with the other fusions. For Piccolo Superhero, I'm adding super armor on this won't end the same way for 2 skill points because he has no flying kicks to allow him to fight characters with flying kicks and auto dodge characters. Also, the buff costs 2 and the transformation costs 2. You'll never use the buff because the transformation costs 2 and refills ki back. So that's very strong. That's way stronger than the buff. So I'm increasing this buff and give it super armor, okay, and more buffs. Okay, so at 70p, like I mentioned in the previous video, transformation costs are being doubled for fusions, okay? This is to prevent base Gogeta from going to 10 for only 2 skill points. So Super Saiyan now costs 2, Blue Gogeta now costs 4, okay? Fuse Zamasu transformation stays at 2 because he's going from 8 to 9. He's only jumping 1 level. So it's not necessary to make it 4, okay? So I'm not doubling that one. See, like Super Saiyan Gogeta could go to 10 for 1 DP, whereas Zamasu can only get to 9 for 2. So it's not even at this moment. So let's make it even. So now it costs 2 to get to 10 from Super Saiyan Gogeta, okay? UI Science transformation, I'm making 3 skill points because he gets health and ki back, okay? And I'm doing the same thing for Jiren. But if you remember in the last conversation, I buffed this character massively. Even greater potential. Now it's a lot better. And for Jiren, I'm buffing his meditation, okay? So I'm making it the same properties as sleep in the last conversation. So you get less health back, but you get your full ki back. And that's it, guys. That's all I have for this video. I hope you liked it. Okay, this is just for fun. Obviously, I'm not on the dev team. I don't have the power to change these things. But these are just the ways that I think we could balance DP battles and balance some of these fusions. And just make everybody a lot more fun and just buff everybody's kit and just get rid of some of the balance issues in this game. Let me know if you agree with some of these or you disagree, or maybe you can add your own ideas, and I'll catch you in the next video. Peace out.